Yeah. Welcome to our first ever Commissioners Podcast. This podcast is designed to help Patriots Path Council share information with our unit leaders. I'm Jason Dugan, Deputy Scout Executive, and I'll be your host for this edition. Let me introduce our guests for today's podcast. I have Archer Jones, our Council Commissioner, Jay DuBois, our Assistant Council Commissioner, and Bob Brady, Unit Commissioner and Executive Vice President of the Patriot Path Council Board. Since this is our first episode, I have our guests tell us a little bit about themselves. Archer, how long have you been in scouting?
Jason, thanks. I've been involved in scouting since 1977 when I started as a Cub Scout. So I'm just entering my 45th year in the program. I've been a Cub Scout, Boy Scout. I earned my Eagle in 1988. I've been a den leader, Cub Master, Scout Master, Unit Commissioner, District Commissioner, currently Council Commissioner. I've been an OA Chapter Advisor. Currently, I'm the OA Associate Lodge Advisor. And I've even been involved with venturing and Sea Scouting. So been involved with a lot of the programs and had a lot of fun over my past 45 years.
Archer, that's great. Thank you for all of you've done to support scouting. Jay, what about you?
Well, like most people, involved in scouting. I was a scout as a youth. I didn't get very far though. In the early 70s, I kind of drifted away from scouting to play football. Then I came back to scouting when my son was of scouting age, and I got involved with the pack at that point. An assistant den leader, was a lion leader for a few years. That was very enjoyable. I moved up to the BSA level, became an assistant scoutmaster, a scoutmaster for 5 years, commissioner. And then from there, I moved on to DOC chair and then camping committee chair. And currently, I'm serving as an assistant council commissioner and the course coordinator for the National Youth Leadership Training Conference.
Jay, thank you as well for all you've done for scouting. Here in a few months, you'll have some big shoes to fill. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's some seriously big shoes to fill. Getting some flavor of that now as I fill in at certain events. I think in February, that'll hit me full force.
And you'll be transitioning at that point into the council commissioner role, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Bob, and what about you and your scouting adventure?
So I'm the new guy because I joined Cub Scouts in 1982. And I grew up in the program just like Archer did. Went through Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. I earned my Eagle in 1989. I was active in the Order of the Arrow as a youth, served as lodge chief, worked at summer camp for about a decade, and got to serve as camp program director for the last couple of those years. As an adult, I've served in numerous positions from unit commissioner. I was Sussex District Chair for 3 years. I'm a member of the Council Executive Board, and I'm currently serving as the Council's Executive Vice President. But my most important job in scouting, in my opinion, is I'm the Scoutmaster at Troop 1150 in Sparta, where I have 40 scouts, including my 2 kids. And I'm proud to say I'm the dad of an Eagle Scout and another scout who's a Life Scout, almost Eagle Scout. So I believe in this program, love this program, and want to see it succeed. So thanks, Jason.
Bob, thanks a lot. And thank you all again for all that you do for scouting. Archer, you want to tell us about what we're doing here tonight?
Sure, Jason. So tonight's podcast is about the journey to excellence. And on the screen there, you can see that this is a way for units to monitor and evaluate their performance and their ability to serve their youth. And there's 4 main areas that we focus on. And if you take a look at the score sheets for whether you're a pack, a troop, a crew, a ship, or a post, it gives you a roadmap to make sure you're delivering a great program to your scouts and making sure that they're getting as much out of the program as they can, and also encourage them to stay involved in the program. So it's a nice little roadmap that National puts out to make sure that you're you're doing the right thing by your scouts and giving them a great program.
So looking at the all the scorecards for all the different units, packs, troops, crews, ships, and even posts, looks like it's broken down into four main theme areas. You mentioned program. There's also membership, planning and budgeting, and then volunteers, volunteer leadership, actually, which is the way it's worded on most of the cards. Bob, you want to talk a little bit about the membership theme?
Sure, I can do that, Jason. And I think there's no mistake that we're talking about membership first here tonight. With everything that's gone on the last couple of years with COVID and other concerns, it's no secret our membership's taken a hit. And so, as our council president, Garrick Stoltz, said time and again over the last year, membership is everything. If we're successful with bringing new members into our units are going to be successful. And so that's really something that we really need to focus on when we look at our brand and what we do for our youth today. If you look at each of the JTE scorecards, there's one for each type of unit, whether it's a pack, troop, crew, ship, or post, or crew. They're all broken down into three areas of membership. First, they look at whether there is new membership. Second, they look at retaining membership. And third, at least for the three core programs, it talks about transitioning to the next level of membership. That obviously doesn't come into play when you're looking at the crews and the ships, because that's when the kids get involved in that right towards the end of their scouting career. And at that point, we're looking for them to transition to adults. But if we focus on just one of these as an example, I'm looking at the troop scorecard right in front of me. And when we're looking at bringing in new scouts to earn points as a bronze level unit, you need to hold a recruiting event. And it can be a traditional event where you invite people, or you can have something like sending out personalized invitations from your scouts to their friends. Simple as that. It just makes troops take the time to attempt to recruit. And that's something that troops oftentimes neglect, and they just think about, oh, we grow by taking in those Cub Scouts who transition over. We'll talk about that in a second. And then to get the silver level, you need to grow, increase the number of net members. Unless you have 25 members, then you get those points anyway. Similarly, to get the gold level, you need to show an increase of 5% of your membership, unless you have 35 scouts in your troops. So basically, it's looking for modest growth of new members, not kids transitioning from the Cub Scout program over to the troop program. In the Cub Scout program, if you look at theirs, what we really want to have is a couple of different recruiting events by October 31st. And that's important to make this by October 31st, because in November is when we really start our charter renewal process. And it's important to have this process sort of wrapped up the best we can so we can move on to the next important administrative task of the year. And then to get the silver level or the gold level, it requires us to start either a new lions or tiger den, one den with at least 5 kids to get the silver level, or 2 dens, and it can be 2 lion dens, 2 tigers, or 1 of each to get the gold level, because obviously those little guys and girls are really where the future of all our program lies. And if we can get them in the door there and show them a good program, we're ready to go. And, our council has put together a couple of great programs to help our units when it comes to recruiting this fall. And basically, whether you're a pack, troop, or crew, or post, or ship, if you recruit 10 new scouts into your unit, you get a 10% discount at the scout shop. You get that in by October 31st. And that's for every kid in your troop gets a 10% discount at the scout shop. That's a pretty awesome deal. If a Cub Scout pack gets those 10 new Cub Scouts, by November 4th, we're going to give that pack Pinewood Derby cars for every kid in the pack. That's a nice little incentive to save the pack some money and thank them for bringing new scouts in. On the Scouts BSA side, there's a really awesome program available where each scout who recruits a new scout, it's got to be a new scout. We're not talking about a kid transferring from Cub Scouts. We're not talking about a kid who left for a while and comes back. A kid who's never been a scout before. The kid who's the recruiter gets a $50 gift certificate towards summer camp, and the new scout gets $50 gift certificate to camp next summer. That's an awesome benefit for both families, and hopefully, welcomes new kids in and gives a real incentive for our scouts to bring their friends to meetings and ask them to join. Now, once we have them in, the next key towards membership is retention of who we have. And we've been doing a pretty good job with that around Patriots Path Council the last couple of years. And we're pretty proud of that. And you look at the scorecard, once again, with the Scouts BSA side, to get bronze level points, you need to re-register 75% of your kids. To get the silver, it's 80%. And for the gold, it's 85%. In the Cub Scout side, I'd love to know why. Maybe Jason, you can speak to this. To get the bronze, you need to re-register 62% of your Cub Scouts. I'm sure there's some magic from National on that. And to get to silver, you need 70%. And then for gold, the nice little twist there, it's not to get 80% to re-register, but you need to get 50% of your families to help run a program in the pack. And I think that's really a neat way to work at retention, because it's giving mom and dad a chance to try out being a leader. And we all know that when an adult signs on as a leader, it makes retention of their kids that much more likely, and it becomes a family activity, and the whole family will be involved for years to come. So I really like that twist there. And then the final membership key is transition, right? So for both Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA, you're looking at the Webelos to Scout transition numbers. And as I said earlier, a lot of our Scout troops really rely on getting those kids to cross over. It's no secret we lose a lot of kids at that time because of, competition from sports or just not finding the right troop to join. So if for the Scout troop, you have to hold 2 joint activities with a Cub Scout pack to get the bronze level. I know that's something my troop tries to do with multiple packs during the year to build that relationship, and it's really easy to do. But you can do that without even getting a single new kid, because building that relationship will lead to new kids in the future. For the silver level, you got to recruit 2 new Weeblo Scouts to cross over into your troop. And for the gold level, you need to recruit 5 Weeblo Scouts to cross over into your troop. Now, if we look at the Cub Scout form, it's the same sort of number. You have you have your scouts participate in activities. 75% of your Weebles have to participate in activities with troops to get bronze. To get silver, you need to have 60% of your Weeblos cross over and register. And to get gold is 80%. So hopefully by having these metrics, it's going to encourage not only the troops to have that relationship, but it's also going to encourage our Cub Scout packs to build those relationships. And of course, for our venture crews, we look at re-registering the members because there's not an automatic crossover from Scouts BSA to venturing. And that's pretty much how they're looking at membership with JTE. I think what National set up with this program this year works really well with our council's programs and our overall game plan to help bring new members into the council. So talked long enough about that. Archer, do you want to touch on program now?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Program is super important because if we run a good program, that's going to keep our scouts engaged in the program. So when we look at our JTE sheets for packs, we want the scouts to advance, and that's kind of easy in the Cub Scout program because they're working on a rank advancement throughout their scout year. So that's a nice easy check sheet that you can do there. Activities, we want our scouts to have fun, right? We want to be outdoors, and we want to get some outdoor activities going, and those are the three main things that you follow in the Cub Scout program. And then, of course, service projects. And service runs through every single program. When we look at all 5 levels, there's always a service project component to every single JTE. So that's across the board. When we look at our Scouts BSA, again, we want Scouts to advance, and we all know that they advance at their own pace in Scouts BSA, and that's okay. And then we want to look at short-term camping. We want to be out for weekend campouts. We want to be out at our Klondike Derbies, at our camporees. But then we also want to look at the long-term camping. We want our scouts to get the opportunity to go to summer camp or to do maybe a high adventure trip to Philmont, Sea Base, Northern Tier, or even going to the summit. So a lot of opportunities for our Scouts BSA units. And then we also, our Scouts BSA, we want to make sure that they're using the patrol method because that's going to make sure that the scouts are progressing, and the older scouts are sharing their knowledge with the younger scouts, and it just keeps revolving down that way. When we look at our crews, a little bit different, right? They're looking at adventure, they're looking at leadership, they're looking at personal growth throughout their program. But again, there's always that service component in there for our crews. And when we look at our Sea Scout ships, and I'm happy to say that we are in the process of starting another Sea Scout ship up on Lake Hopatcong. So anybody who's interested, we have a brand new ship starting up, and hopefully we'll have that up and running by the end of the year. So it's another opportunity for people to join that program. And in that program, we're looking at activities again. We want them to be engaged. And the new ship is going to be focusing on some STEM activities and some snorkeling and some scuba diving, as well as traditional Sea Scout stuff that's on the ship itself. Again, we want them to develop their leadership skills. We want them to advance if they have the opportunity to advance or have the desire to advance through the ranks. It's not very often we see a quartermaster come out of our Sea Scout programs. Happy to say that not only is my son an Eagle Scout, but he's a Summit Award recipient, and he is also a quartermaster recipient. So I've been involved with it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but very rewarding for the youth and for the leaders. And then when we look at our posts, again, we want them to have some sort of fun activity. They're going to have service projects, and they're going to have youth leadership opportunities. So you can see if you look at all the different program levels, they all kind of focus on the same kind of core things that are going to help our scouts advance through the program, gain leadership skills, do service projects, giving back to our community. So it's a great way for them to be engaged with the unit. One of the other things is obviously leadership. And that's core to us engaging our parents and converting them into adult leaders. So, Jay, you want to talk about leadership?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Archer. Recruiting adults is key to helping us put forth a quality program at every level. Some of the things that units struggle with is pulling additional adults into their unit to help support the leadership roles. It helps to understand how people react to being asked to do things. So it's better to ask someone to do a specific job than it is to stand in front of a room full of people and ask for volunteers. If you have a specific job to do, maybe it's as complicated as treasurer, or maybe it's as simple as popcorn kernel. Sit down with a candidate, in a friendly manner, and lay out the job. Explain to them what's involved. Explain to them that the leadership of your unit isn't a club and that it all depends on many people doing many jobs. Often you can recruit somebody to do a specific job if you identify the work that's involved. hey, I need you to be my popcorn chair. The most effective, the most work that's going to come as a popcorn chair is going to be between, January or say August and October or November. And then you can be done for the year and you can do something else. So, when you ask somebody to help, be available for questions, guide them, try to give them a sense of how much work they're going to be in, that's going to be involved. Looking at the JTE scorecards for leadership, most of the JTE concentrates on having adult leaders in place and having them trained. So training is a big deal for me. It's something I really stand up for, and it's something I get involved with. If all units embark upon a process to pull in the right leaders into the right spaces and then get them trained, they'll meet their JTE requirements for bronze, silver, or gold, depending on the size of the unit. It's important for units to have a succession plan for the key three, to develop additional volunteers, to have assistants in place so that they can shadow the leaders. So when it's time for a leader to move on to their next level of scouting, they have someone that can comfortably move into the next role. And it provides something that's very unique to BSA, and that is a continuation of units for many years. It's important for the units, both packs and troops, to have a list of tasks to fulfill the pack program throughout the year. That way it keeps them focused and keeps everybody on point to provide that excellent program you were talking about, Archer. So once you get these people in place and you fill these spots, then the next thing is to get them trained. Every scout deserves trained leaders. And training is very simple in Patriots Path Council. Our training committee provides ample opportunity for all courses, for all levels of leadership, including that critical Baloo training for the Cub leaders. And then there's online training that you can take at night after your hard day at work, sitting down with a cup of tea, and after the kids are in bed, spend 20 minutes, half an hour, going through the modules for your specific role. Maybe you want to be a den leader, maybe you want to be a committee chair, you want to just be a member of a committee. Those training opportunities are there. And if you get those training requirements met, and you meet certain percentage requirements of those training, then your unit is on track to be a quality unit, and you'll meet those goals that are set up in the JTE requirements. I like to think of the JTE requirements as being met accidentally. Do what's laid out for you in the program guide. Use your council resources to help you get the additional volunteers and get them trained, and you'll succeed on your JTE scorecard. So to wrap it up, adults are the core, beyond membership, of course, Bob. The adults are the core for the program. We shepherd everything through. We make sure that the youth-led program is on track, and we try to make sure that for years to come, we've put in place additional leaders who are trained to carry our units forward. All right. So again, servant leadership, give them all the tools they need to be successful. Jason, you want to bring us home with planning and budget?
Yeah, Jay, thanks a lot. So, having a plan and a design for how you pay for that plan helps our parents a lot. When they join other activities, let's say they join sports, they know, what day practice is going to be most of the time. They know when their games are going to be because they're scheduled weeks out. Same thing happens when you take an art class at the YMCA. You're going to go to, when that class is, you're going to go to that class weekly. We need to do the same thing when we talk about our parents and our yearly scouting program. To help with some of that this year, as part of this year's University of Scouting, which is another training opportunity for adults on March 4th, we're also going to combine that with our program launch. Last year, that program launch event took place in June, but we want to make sure we get that information into our units' hands earlier this year, so that for 2023, well, actually, that'll be for the 23-24 scouting year. But we realize that planning is important, and that's why we're pushing those dates up to give everyone an opportunity to take part. But having that plan for the year and figuring out how you pay for it, whether it be, and I'll do a shameless plug for the popcorn, selling popcorn through the council, or it be another fundraiser that your unit chooses to support your program. Having that plan and letting folks know how much it's going to be are the important steps to keeping those families engaged and retaining them at the unit level. A lot of other programs, they pay for it once at the beginning, and it's not an ongoing thing. That's where we need to be careful when we do our planning and we do our fundraising, that we cover all that up front, so we're not going back to our families several times throughout the year to ask for more money, because I think that's one of the things that they see happen, because we don't put together the plan, or we think, oh, let's make this easy and not hit them all at one time. They'd like to know what that is, and they'll come to you if they need to work out something to pay for it on the back end. So just looking as we wrap up talking about the JTE, Archer, you want to talk a little bit about the forms, and I will put up you want to talk a little bit about the forms?
Sure. Thanks, Jason. So really easy way to find the forms. There's a QR code that we're going to put up on the screen here. And that can take you directly to the National BSA website. And then it'll bring you to the JTE. You click on your program year. So for this year, it'd be 2022. And then it's going to drop down all the different types of units. So whether you're a Cub Scout pack, a Scouts BSA troop, a ship, a crew, or a post, you're going to click on that. You can download those forms and you can fill them out. And nice and easy, simple to get to. And, print them out, review them, and, get them filled out and get them turned in.
I was trying to show it. It won't work. It won't let me get close enough to the screen with the cell phone to show that the QR code actually worked and took them where they needed to go. Archer, so after a unit's done with their JTE, they fill out their form, and then what do?
So they're going to sit down with their unit commissioner, and their unit commissioner is going to review it with them and sign off on it. And then that document can be submitted with your recharter packet, which obviously we want to have in before December 31st. If for some reason there is no unit commissioner assigned to the unit, you can reach out to your district commissioner. They'll be happy to sit down with you and review that. And if you can't find your district commissioner, well, you can give me a call and I'll be happy to sit down and review your paperwork and sign off on it, so we can make sure that we get all our JTE forms turned in.
So at this point, I'm going to mention the fact that some of the recognition for the JTE has changed over the years. There used to be pins, there used to be patches, there used to be ribbons. A lot of that stuff has gone away because it's really about the programming. It's actually not about the actual award. It's about doing these things. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because some folks get locked into getting that little trinket to push them over the edge. They wanted to focus on the program, and it's probably the only thing in scouting that we actually do that on at this point that I can think of. So as we come to the end of tonight, any of you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, we talk about JTE a lot at the end of the year, but I think something that my troop started doing a couple years ago that I really recommend is that you print out the scorecard early in the year, and at troop committee meetings every other month, probably, we pull out the scorecard and we look at where we are. And that's a great tool to make sure our plans and what we're doing is hitting all of these tools. These metrics that National put on here to get these levels aren't by mistake. If you do these things, you're going to be running a pretty great unit. So, if you keep in touch with them throughout the year, not only are you going to hit your goals, but it's going to help you run a better unit. So I really recommend everyone does that. And, obviously others have stuff to say still, but thank you for listening. And thank you for everything you do for Scouts.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on that as well. Don't look at the JTE scorecards as some kind of overarching type of control for your unit, but look at them as a roadmap to success. I use them as a scoutmaster. Bob uses them. Archer used them. We encourage the units we commission to use them strictly because it does help. It keeps you on focus. And like Bob said, if you use everything on these scorecards and follow them, not necessarily to a T, but pretty close, you're going to have a wonderful unit.
Yeah, and I would echo that. Bob and Jay and I, we've all used this tool, and it's a great tool to make sure you're doing the right thing for your scouts and making sure that they're getting the most out of the program and you're delivering the most that you can to your scouts. So I encourage everybody to use the forms. Bob brought up a great point. Every other month at a committee meeting, pull the scorecard out, see where you're at, see if you're deficient anywhere, and see where you can, maybe do better. So I would just like to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you to our panelists, Jay, Bob, Jason, for being here tonight. Hopefully this is going to be a regular thing where we can bring you some good information from the council or from national that's going to help you and your units. And obviously, if there's ever anything that we can do to help you or your unit out, feel free to reach out to us. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We hope to see you during our next episode.